All right, good afternoon, everyone. We hope you've been having a great weekend so far. My name is Ria Gupta. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a grade 12 student, and I'm president of the Project Pulse Winnipeg executive team this year. All of the exec team roles on Project Pulse are filled with passionate and hardworking students from diverse cultural and academic communities in Winnipeg. And all of these roles contribute significantly to Project Pulse in unique ways and helped plan this event today. And they are also in the audience, so if you have your cameras on, feel free to give us a quick wave. All right, thank you. And today, our University Relations Director, Christina, will be hosting this event. I hope that all of you greatly enjoy hearing from our wonderful guests and asking them questions. And I'll now hand it off to Christina to start us off.
Thank you very much, Ria. Hi, everyone. We're so excited to have you here. My name is Kristina Kirkolova, and I'm the University Relations Director at Project Pulse Winnipeg. I'm also a grade 12 student. Project Pulse Winnipeg is a youth-led organization that provides high school students with insight about the field of health sciences. And in previous years, we have done this through a day-long conference, but due to the pandemic, we have switched to an online platform where we continue to provide amazing resources like this panel. As a University Relations Director, my job is to find fantastic students like the ones we're so lucky to have here today, who share a little bit about their experiences as a student in the field of health. And today we're so excited to feature three amazing speakers, Alexa Palmer, Kayla Costel, and Apara Pathak. Alexa and Kayla are here with us right now, and Apara will be joining us later tonight. And the goals for this event are to provide you guys with relevant information necessary when choosing a program and applying to universities, and as well as to alleviate stress associated with choosing the right program. We also want to speak about supports in place during your first year of university or supports in place now when you have to make some decisions. We're going to start with some quick introductions from our guests, and then we will move on to speak about 4 topics: choosing a program, admissions, scholarships, and further studies or careers. And then we will have a little bit of a Q&A session at the end. We have taken note of some questions you have asked in the registration form that we will bring up. And then feel free to drop some questions in the chat that we will get back to at the end. And now, without further ado, I will turn it to Alexa and Kayla to tell us a little bit more about themselves.
Okay, I guess I'll go first. Hi, everyone. My name is Alexa, and I'm a second-year student in the Rowdy Faculty of Health Sciences. I'm doing the Bachelor of Health Sciences program, and I'm really excited to be here today and hopefully be able to provide you guys some insight into my program and my university experience so far.
Thanks for your introduction, Alexa. And thank you all for this opportunity to be a panel. It's a very exciting opportunity to be able to share some insight and experience on this topic. So my name is Kayla. I use she, her pronouns. I am in my first year of the master's program in community health sciences. I completed in May 2021 my honors degree in psychology. And yeah, that's kind of my background. Put simply, I did my first 2 years at St. Boniface University, and then I transferred to U of M for their honors program. So yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, very cool. Thank you so much for those introductions. And now let's start talking about the first thing on our agenda, which is choosing your programs. How did you guys decide to go into the programs that you are in right now?
I think for me, I've always been interested in the field of health and health sciences. And, when I got later in high school, I started kind of thinking about more, what do I want to do? What do I want to pursue? And I kind of thought about science, but then I heard about the health sciences program at the U of M. And so I got really interested in that. And I think it's just a really good mix of, integrating science and social science together, because when I was in high school, I always, I really liked, math and physics, but I also really liked English and social studies. So I find it's a really good kind of interdisciplinary program that mixes basically everything I like into one.
Yeah, thanks for that answer. As for me, I had no idea what I wanted to go into. So And that's completely okay if you don't know what you're trying to do. So I just went into university one. I took classes that were interesting to me. So I really enjoyed the sciences in high school. So I did a number of different science courses, which included intro to psychology. So I really then enjoyed psychology and took more courses in my second year. And that's when I learned about the honors program at U of M. Usually you need the honors degree to pursue graduate school in psychology. So so that was kind of my path. So I really enjoyed psychology, did the honors program, but I still enjoyed health science more than psychology. So that's why I went into community health sciences. And you can still have mental health or behaviorism as a variable in your research for graduate school. So that's what led me to where I'm at now.
Very cool. Thank you for those answers. I do have a question that kind of similar to what you were saying, Kayla. Say you start in a program and then you change your mind. Would you say it's fairly easy to kind of change and go into a different program, or would you say there are certain steps you need to take in order to do that?
It depends on a number of factors. If you're trying to go from a science to another similar science degree, or if you're totally switching paths. So if you're going from, you're a third year psychology student and you want to do nursing, you will still have some prerequisites to kind of advance you into nursing, but you would, it's difficult, but maybe easy. It depends on what your what the program is. And but it's also important to note that the courses that may not be transferable, you will learn a lot from them and life experiences. So it's kind of worth it too in the end run. But that's my thoughts and my experiences. And please take whatever I say with a grain of salt, because that's only my experience, and it likely is not generalizable to every university student.
That definitely makes sense. When choosing which university to study at, what did you guys consider? Because I know you're both at the U of M right now, but Kayla did start at the University of St. Boniface. So just kind of what factors made you choose the universities you studied at?
I think for me, the biggest thing was I wanted to stay at home. I don't know, it just, when I was thinking about university, I never even really thought about going out of province. I just think for me, I like, being close to my family and my friends, and also financial costs too is a lot less if you're living at home. So I guess that's for me, it was really just, staying at home. And then for my specific program, I went to the U of M because it's the only one that offers the health sciences program. It's kind of just a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, to bounce off of Alexa, exact same thing for me. Close to home, not as expensive, you're around family, it's a great support system. And then why did I pick St. Boniface over U of M? I think it's because I was reflecting on this today. I'm like, wait, why did I pick St. Boniface over U of M? But it's because I think it was what I was comfortable with in high school, because I went to a French high school. So everything you learned was in French, and then it's easier to continue that route. The university was smaller, so you have more interaction with the professors. I remember in my second year, I actually had one professor who taught me 5 classes, the same classes. So you definitely get connections that way. And then I transferred to U of M because of the program, and I've loved my time at U of M, which led me to graduate school here at this university again. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Very cool. Now we did get a question on our form that we sent out, but before you pursue medicine, you do have to do a 4-year undergraduate degree. And I know biology is a common one that pre-med students will do. And like we said, you guys are in the health sciences, but what other majors can you do, or minors, I guess, what undergraduate degrees can you do except biology to go into medicine?
You can do anything really. I think a lot of people think that, oh, you have to do biology or you have to do health sciences to be able to, go to medicine. But in reality, I don't think there's a school in Canada that requires you to have a specific undergraduate degree. It's just that you do have an undergraduate degree, right? So I think it's important to pick something that you're passionate about and that you like, instead of kind of, sticking with something, oh, I should do this, right? So it's more important, I think it's more important to pick something that you actually like and that you're passionate about, instead of picking something that, just because everybody else does it, if that makes sense. And yeah, you can do anything. You can do engineering, you can do, again, I know for U of M, you can do a 3-year science degree, just a general science degree, and then apply to medicine if you kind of want to, take that shorter route. You can do, biochemistry, microbiology, really anything you want. I know people, who have done English and then gone to medicine. So I think it's just, obviously if you do take science-based courses, it'll help you prepare, for the MCAT and stuff, but there's no real kind of prerequisite or, best degree to do for it. It's really just kind of, again, taking, it is helpful to take, science courses and whatnot, because again, it helps you prepare for the MCAT, but there's no good or bad or better. It's really what works for you and what you like.
Yeah, exact same thing as Alexa for what my thought was. What undergraduate degree you decide on should really be something you're passionate about and that you like doing. It does not need to be biology. It could be psychology. Or anything. So completely. And one thing to note is you do not need a classic 4-year degree. You could do a 3-year general degree. Some medical schools do require prerequisites. So you will need to take account for that. Like the University of British Columbia, you need 6 credit hours of English, for example. The University of Manitoba, I don't believe there's any prerequisites. So those are things to consider when deciding on your workload. And the program you do pick might be more flexible or not on what electives you get to pick. So for example, my degree, I had 60 credit hours, I believe, of electives. So I took a variety of different courses. One was Intro to Travel Leisure, for example. So that was a very interesting and fun class. So that in that case, it's easier to meet your prereqs if you're trying to apply to different schools, but also then you need to consider other factors like the out of province pool versus the in-province pool, which makes things, in my opinion, quite a bit more difficult to get into. So yeah, considering all those factors, that's my thought on that. Thank you.
Wow, amazing answers, you guys. We do have one more question just before moving on to our next topic, but how heavy is the workload in the studies you're pursuing right now?
I'd say my program is, decently heavy, but I think the thing with university, no matter what you take, it's going to be a step up from high school and more of a workload. I know for me, first year was pretty big step up, and probably similar to kind of what most people in first year science also take, take biology, take the chemistry, statistics, take psychology. So yeah, it is, a step up from high school, but I think you get that in any program. So yeah.
Yeah, so for my program now, I'm gonna just talk about undergrad because graduate school is very different in my opinion so far, but for undergraduate, the workload, in my opinion, there's, like Alexa said, that adjustment period between high school and university, and you really learn different skills and more, you adjust to the life of university. So it depends on your program and what you learned in high school and what you're experiences are, but for the program itself, yeah, just it depends on so many things. This is a hard question to answer. But for me, my workload, so the first year adjustment period, and then you learn for your second year, the honors program was a 4-year bachelor. So I did it in arts. And so it was more research intensive than a normal degree. I did a thesis. I had to take different courses that were more research intensive than the general 4-year degree. So it depends. Thanks.
Thank you. And I know I said that was the last question, but I do have one more. Do you guys have any advice for students who are unsure of which field to go into and feel a little rushed? I know previously Alexa did say to just choose what speaks to you and kind of what your passion is, but do you have any other advice for choosing a program?
Yeah, I think, again, like I said before, pick something that you like and that you want to do, not just because you think it's, I don't know, just because, most people do it or that's kind of the common path, right? I think, it's okay to not know what you want to do. Even now in my second year, I don't know exactly what I want to do after I do this degree, and that's totally okay, right? Yeah, just know you don't have to have your life figured out when you graduate high school, that's for sure. You'll, through your undergraduate degree, you'll, learn different things, experience new things, and that'll kind of help shape, your path and where you want to go next. So again, it's okay to not know, right? And don't rush. It's okay. You'll figure it out. A lot of times too, even if, you start a degree and then maybe you're a year or two in and you're like, I don't know if I actually want to do this, you can totally, again, depending on what it is and what you're changing to, again, like Kayla mentioned earlier, but you can, totally change your path and change your degree relatively easy, I'd say, if you're in your first or second year. So, with time, you'll kind of see what you like and what speaks to you, right? So you'll figure that out as you go along. So there's no need to stress about that because yeah, it'll work itself out.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with that. Maybe another thing to consider when picking your degree is job opportunities from that. So for example, in psychology, it's a bit harder to get a job if you're just doing that bachelor's degree, but there's still job opportunities. So that's one thing to consider when you're picking your job. And then also, it's also okay if you decide to do a degree later on in your life. If you're 50 or something like that, you don't need to decide your career right now. So yeah, and you might go through a career change when you're 40, 50, and that's completely okay. Just, yeah, the biggest piece of advice, which exactly resembles Alexis, is to do something you enjoy in your life. Because you will be working, for at least 30 years. So it's more important, in my opinion, to do something you're passionate about and that you like, because then you won't dread going to work. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for providing all of that information on choosing a program. I think that definitely provides a lot of guidance for the people who are here today. And with that said, let's move on to our second topic, which is admissions. And one of the questions we got most often was which prerequisites are needed for like health sciences or health studies, or in this case, let's say the programs that you are in right now, which are those?
For health sciences, I think they actually changed some of the changed some parts of the application this year. I know that, but you definitely need to take high school biology, grade 11, grade 12, high school chemistry, again, grade 11, grade 12, and then just pre-calculus or applied. That's it. Oh, well, and English, but I think everyone has to take English. So yeah, that's basically only classes you needed. And I know when I applied, it was for like my admission, like average, it was my math grade, English grade, and then one of my science grades. So either biology, chemistry, or physics. And now they've changed it and it's English, math, biology, and chemistry. So now it's like 4 classes that go to your average, I think. And don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure they've changed that this year now.
Yeah, so I entered university as University One a while ago. The rules might have changed, but I don't think there was really any requirements except for when you pick the classes you're going into. So if you take the first year bio class, I'm assuming you need fourth year biology in high school. So then you would need grade 11 too to do grade 12. I think, I'm not sure. So I would potentially recommend to kind of take all of those courses as a safety measure. So when you're in university, you don't need to go back and take a high school course. So yeah, and then for pursuing the honors degree, there is a bunch of things you needed. So you needed a 3.5 GPA. You needed to take 6 credit hours in 5 different subject fields. So for example, that would be 2 courses in French, 2 courses in biology in different departments, is something like that. And you needing to take particular psychology courses. So if you're interested in research, that would be one way. And then for graduate school, that's another thing. But yeah, that's for undergrad.
Awesome. I think you guys answered that question very well. I do think those are all the prerequisites that I know of at least, but I also know that the absolute best resource for any prerequisites to any course is definitely the U of M website, where I know they have, if you go to your guidance counselor, they have this pamphlet that folds out and you see like each program and which classes you need to take and what your average needs to be to get them. So the things that we have provided here are general, like I'd like to remind you. So best, most accurate information, website, or your guidance counselor. I would like to move on to another question, but have you guys taken any prerequisites that, or sorry, any classes that aren't necessarily prerequisites, but you recommend taking or you definitely found useful when going to university?
Yeah, so again, physics is not required to take like as a prerequisite for health sciences, but I took it anyways in grade 11 and grade 12. Again, it was kind of just like as a safety measure for me, just just in case. And I actually think physics is a tough course, but I think it actually really helped me kind of learn how to problem solve and apply concepts. So in a sense, it just kind of helped me with my other courses and whatnot. And then moving on to university, since it was a pretty challenging course, at least at my school, my teacher really liked to push us hard. So the workload kind of helped me prepare for my, first year university courses, which I found pretty useful. But other than that, I don't think there's really anything else. Again, it really depends on what your school offers. I think if your school offers like AP chemistry or AP biology, those might be useful. Just in the sense of more of getting used to the workload while you're still in high school and kind of maybe making that transition a little bit easier. My school did not offer those courses, so I did not take any AP courses. Again, it's not necessary, right? But again, if your school offers them, it might be useful.
Yeah, so as for high school, particular courses that I would recommend, I'm not 100% sure on what I did in high school. I actually took pre-cal and applied, I think it's called applied math at the same time. So that was good because I found applied math touched on some aspects of university math courses that the other course doesn't. So that's good to, I guess, learn more about potential university courses you'll take. And as for university itself, I kind of think it's in 2 ways. The first is a course that could help your personal development and that you enjoy, that could potentially help you decide what a career is for you. And then the second one, like actual courses that might help you. So for example, if you're wanting to pursue more research and go into research courses like statistics will be very helpful. Yeah, for future courses, things like that. Yeah, I hope that's helpful.
I think that's definitely a very helpful, both of those answers are definitely very helpful. And another question we have is are your programs competitive?
I know for me, health sciences is, it's the reason being is they only accept 20 people every year from high school. I don't know if that's changing this year, but it has been like that for quite a while, and there's a lot of interest in it. So usually it gets pretty competitive. So again, since they only accept about 20 people a year, they go kind of based off highest averages. So the cutoff is usually around a 95 from out of high school. So that's, I remember hearing that when I applied and I was terrified. I was like, I'm never getting in this program. And oh my goodness, like, but I was fine. It was good. I got in, but so I know it can sound a little bit daunting, but don't doubt yourself. You can do it. Just again, you just got to keep your grades up and work hard. But yeah, I've never heard of another program at the U of M that's like that. It's just, again, it's just, there's so much interest, but limited spots. So unfortunately, yeah, they don't accept that many people, but I'm hopefully they can make more spots, because there's a lot of, smart, passionate people out there that, deserve to be in the program. So kind of hoping that they can make it a little bit more accessible to people. And then also like within my program, because mine's like the interdisciplinary health program. So the other one, like there's 2 degrees offered. So there's health sciences and then there's health studies. And so health studies, I know for a fact it's less competitive, which is still a really great option. It's just, it's similar to health sciences. We have like similar core kind of degree courses that we take. It's just that theirs is a bit more social science focused, and health sciences is obviously a bit more science focused, but they're both really great options. And I know health studies, there isn't as many people that apply, so it's not quite as competitive. And then again, most other programs at U of M, it's basically, I know for science, if you have the minimum, you get in basically. So yeah. And I think I saw something pop up here, 95 grade 11 or grade 12 average. So for U of M, they only look at your grade 12 average.
Yeah, so as for my situation, thanks for that answer, Alexa. I just want to also add to, like, even though a program is competitive, give it a shot. Always try your best. And also, I'm not sure with health science, but based off of programs I know, even though you might not get in your first year from high school, you can then transfer into it, and that's totally fine. You take the exact same courses in your first year anyways, based from university one, and then you go into it. So really you don't lose time, unless the courses fill up, which could happen. That's an issue at U of M, unfortunately. And then so now going into my competitive level, university one, not super competitive really at all. You got this, you can get in. And then transferring to psychology honors program. Most other honors programs is a 3.0, but psych is a 3.5 because it's competitive. So, but if you meet that cutoff mark, you'll get into psych. You just need the grades and to meet the requirements, and then you're in. There's no maximum or minimum amount of people. Yeah.
Yeah, and sorry, I just want to add what you said, Kayla. Yes, you can definitely apply for health sciences again once you've completed your first year. Again, yeah, you can take all the classes kind of on the program plan for the first year in U1 or in science, or really in any faculty. And then, yeah, apply for advanced entry. Usually that one isn't as competitive because, yeah, there isn't as many applicants kind of applying after their first year. So that's also another option.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for those answers. I do want to take a quick pause from our admissions questions and introduce our third panelist, Apara, who has joined us. We're so excited to have you here. Apara, could you just tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're studying, where you're studying?
Thanks for introducing me, Christina. So as she introduced me, my name is Apara, and I am a 4th year student at the University of Winnipeg. I'm doing a double major in biology and biochemistry. And I have been heavily involved in research since I was in high school, and I've been trying to keep up with that recently, but I'm also trying to explore other options at the moment in terms of seeing what the scientific field really is like other than research and what other opportunities are available to students such as myself. And I'm really excited to tell you about my undergrad journey so far.
Awesome. So we have already talked about choosing a program, but we really want to know, how did you choose the programs that you're in? Why did you choose two?
So my journey in my undergrad so far in terms of choosing my program has been a little unpredictable. I've been kind of going with the flow in terms of choosing which area I wanted to study. So I initially started off as a biochem major, and then I took first year chem, and I really thought that choice again. I wasn't sure if this was really the way I wanted to go, especially with, like, I'm not sure if how many of you have heard about organic chemistry, but I wasn't sure if I'd be able to handle that. So I switched my program from biochemistry to biology, but then I ended up taking organic chemistry anyways. I did okay. So I decided to switch back to biochemistry. But I noticed that the requirement for biochemistry and biology are actually really similar at the University of Winnipeg. So I thought it would be more advantageous to me to just do a double major because I'm interested in both fields. Like, I'm really interested in biochemistry in terms of molecular biology, cell signaling, but also just plain biology with like anatomy and human development especially is something that I am passionate about.
Great. And we're so happy to have students from different universities here. We have Alexa from the U of M, we have Kayla, who's also at the U of M, but was at St. Boniface, and we have you from the University of Winnipeg. So we want to hear you talk about why you chose the University of Winnipeg for pursuing these programs.
So my choice was more out of necessity rather than out of choice. And like, something I will probably emphasize throughout my answers is the importance of really persevering through challenges. And that's actually why I ended up choosing the University of Winnipeg. I was actually enrolled in classes at University of Western Ontario right after high school. That's where I was supposed to go, but a family member got sick, so I had to stay in Winnipeg. And that's how I ended up at the University of Winnipeg. I had heard about the University of Winnipeg while I was applying to universities in high school. And I'd heard that it had smaller class sizes compared to University of Manitoba. So there was more one-on-one interaction with the profs, as well as more social interaction with your peers. And you at least get to know who you're sitting next to, which is something that I really found appealing in terms of social aspect of university, especially going into your first year. And that is why I ended up applying to the University of Winnipeg. I actually didn't apply to the University of Manitoba at all. And it turned out to be a really, really good thing that I ended up going to University of Winnipeg. I feel like it has helped me a lot. They're very, even though the location is not the best, and that's definitely what people will tell you, I feel that the staff at the University of Winnipeg is very compassionate and flexible with what the student needs.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that part of your journey, and very cool to talk about the pros of the University of Winnipeg, just because there's so many people who go to the U of M and we hear so much about the U of M. It's nice to hear great aspects of the University of Winnipeg. Now let's get back on to talking about admissions. One of the most probably popular questions we got, amongst one of the most popular questions we got, is, do grade 11 marks count? I know Alexa touched a little bit upon this and said that they do not count for health sciences, but have you applied to any programs, any universities, or any scholarships where they have asked for grade 11 marks?
Personally, no. Again, I only applied at the U of M. So again, U of M does not require you to submit your grade 11 marks, but I know if you're looking to apply to some universities in Ontario, they do look at your grade 11 marks. I'm not 100% sure about which ones exactly, but all I know is that I've kind of heard some of them consider your grade 11 marks. But again, University of Manitoba, and I think all universities here in Manitoba within, it's just grade 12 marks. And for scholarships, I'm not entirely sure. I didn't really apply for that many scholarships. So again, I'm not sure. It probably just depends on which one you're applying for.
Yeah, as for me, I don't know, to be honest. I don't, your grade 12 marks matter much more than grade 11. As for scholarship, I also didn't apply to very many from high school to first year. So I have no idea if grade 11 marks matter.
So in my experience, I actually found that grade 11 marks, at least at the universities I had applied to, did matter more than the grade 12 marks. So just to give you a little background, the universities I ended up applying to were University of Western Ontario, York University, and that's in Toronto, and University of Winnipeg. So the two universities in Ontario that I ended up applying to were, they required a grade 11 transcript, and entrance and admission was based on those grade 11 marks. But grade 12 marks did matter, especially for University of Western Ontario, because they would confirm your admission based on your grade 12 marks. Like if you had attained a certain GPA, if in your, or percentage, I guess, in your university, in your high school courses, that would confirm your entrance. But for University of Winnipeg, I believe I did apply with my grade 11 marks, just because I had applied in September or October, and those were the only grades available. And in terms of scholarships, I don't really know too much about scholarships, but the one thing that I am aware of is the entrance scholarships at University of Winnipeg. So at the University of Winnipeg, you are automatically entered for admission scholarships based on what your grades are at the time of admission. And it's a tiered system. So the higher your grades, the greater monetary support you get through the scholarships for the entrance.
Thank you for those answers. Our next question is kind of, oh yeah, how did you guys apply to university and how long did the application actually take?
From what I remember, at least when I applied in fall of 2019, it was all online. And I think the application took me maybe 30 minutes to fill out. It didn't really take long at all. I don't know, probably again, it probably depends on what kind of programs you're applying to, but I know like for U of M, it's kind of a standardized application. It's the same for every program, I think. Yeah, it's pretty basic. Did not take me long at all.
Same here. It was pretty, not too long for both St. Boniface and U of M. For university, from like entering from high school to university was a very simple, just ask questions and answer them. I don't recall needing any reference letters or anything like that. So it was pretty simple, but still slightly time consuming, of course, but yeah.
So for the universities I applied to, I thought the University of Winnipeg application and the York University application were the easiest to fill out for me. I think they took me maybe 30 minutes. And in terms of hearing back from the universities, I think York took 2 to 3 weeks and University of Winnipeg got back to me within a week. And for, I think Western and other, I guess, higher tier Ontario universities are a little bit more thorough with their application process. I'm really sorry if you see my dog in the background. Yeah, just right there. Anyways, so the University of Western Ontario, the application did take a little bit longer, probably around 1.5 to 2 hours. And all Ontario universities, I believe, go through this website. I forget what it's called. Someone can fill in the blanks. I think it's
the
OMAS or something.
OUAC. The
Yes.
OUAC.
Yes, I think that's it. So for Ontario universities, that's the case. And they all go through the same application process, and then they have specific questions you need to fill out. It really depends again on the programs and the universities you applied to, like my fellow panelists have mentioned. I know some universities require admissions essays. Some of my friends had to do that, like for universities like McMaster, they definitely require essays, but it really just depends on the program and the faculty that you apply to.
Great. I do want to say again, your guidance counselor will have lots of accurate information if you're not completely sure about specifics. And with that said, do you guys have any like supports that you remember being in place for you in high school while you were going through the application process?
Yeah, well, definitely, like you mentioned, your guidance counselor will have some good information and, you know, can give you some guidance on certain programs and what you need to do. And then also at the University of Manitoba, their admissions office, I think you can contact them by email. It might be just like admissions@umanitoba.ca. Don't count me on that. You can definitely probably find it on their website pretty easily. But yeah, they were helpful. I know, I guess for me, when this was before COVID. So we had somebody from the university come to our school and give a presentation. And after the presentation, we had the opportunity to kind of, go ask some questions. And so that was helpful as well, to talk to a representative from the university as well. The university has like open house night. And so again, when I went, it was in person, but they're still doing it online. And so there should be one coming up in the next month or two. And so it's on this online platform and you can, chat with, people from the admissions office, but you can also go and chat with people from specific programs. So I'll probably be doing the one for health sciences again this term. But yeah, you can kind of it's an interesting platform, but again, yeah, those are some supports that are out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah, everything Alexa said is completely right. In high school, I believe we had kind of and this is pre-COVID, they had like a career fair. I forget the word, an open house type of a thing at the convention center, and they had booths with different programs. So they had a section with U of M, and then they had University of Winnipeg and St. Boniface. So you got more information by that booth and different programs. So that was an awesome opportunity. I'm not sure if they're doing something virtual right now or not, but that's the only thing I can add on to what Alexa said.
Yeah, similarly to what Alexa and Kayla had mentioned, I think I just found out about universities and their admissions process through presentations like Alexa had mentioned, and also through fairs, I believe. I should also mention that I did apply pre-COVID. I applied in the fall of 2017. So that was my grade 12 year. And for the fairs, there was a fair at my high school where they had a lot of universities come down. I think it was probably around 20 or more than 20 universities. And it was open to anyone who'd like to come. It's not just for my high school, but they had a fair, and I thought that was really informative to give information regarding the applications process. For me personally, I was really lucky that I knew other people who had applied to universities that I was interested in, and I had a support system, I guess, to reach out to get information. And yeah, again, the guidance counselor was definitely a big help.
Perfect. We do have one question in our comment section that I'm going to get you guys, or one person to answer right now. And if possible, can one person just answer it, because we are approaching our we are approaching 5:30 and I want to have time for everything else. So if one person can answer the question: if you applied to university in the fall of grade 12, how did the university get your grade 12 marks? Which is a very fair question. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so I know from when I applied, you kind of have to like estimate your marks in a sense. So kind of, again, since you do apply in the fall, and for U of M, they take your grade 12 marks, you kind of just gauge based on how you're doing in your classes. Again, and you estimate, and then usually what they'll do is for programs that you hear back from right away. So for health sciences, I applied in November and I didn't hear back till the end of May. So for health sciences programs specifically, they usually wait till people's grades are a bit more finalized before they choose to accept or reject people, just because things can change. But things like, I know for science and arts, because I also applied to science, I got my acceptance like 2 weeks after. So what they do is they give you like a conditional acceptance, basically meaning that if you keep kind of up in the range of your like estimated grades that you put on your application, that you will be accepted, if that makes any sense. So yeah, and again, your school, if you're in province, your school should send your transcripts and I think it's your report card from your midterm in like the second semester that they send, and that's kind of like your official kind of transcript. So again, you apply conditional, right, with your estimated grades, but then again, they'll check back and your school will send you your grades to the university later on, and then they'll kind of revisit that and finalize that. So yeah, and that's for U of M, because again, if you're in Manitoba, your school will automatically do that. But again, if you're going out of province, it's a little bit different. I think you're kind of responsible for your own transcript. I'm not entirely sure about that though. Maybe Apara can touch on that more.
Apara, are you okay to speak about like how that works since you applied out of province as well?
Sure. So I'll be honest, I don't really remember. It was almost 5 years ago for me, but to the best of my memory, I think it was a mixture of self-reporting and also having the guidance counselor sent over a transcript. I think it was both, but that's as far as I remember. But I do remember that transcripts were sent for the grade 11 grades. Again, since I did apply earlier on, I did apply with my grade 11 grades rather than my grade 12 grades. And that's all my university applications were done in the fall.
Perfect. Now let's move on to scholarships. Did you guys apply for any scholarships for your undergraduate? And if so, which ones?
I didn't really apply for that many, to be honest. I kind of looked into some, but I think the thing I regret doing in high school is not getting involved more and doing things. So again, it was tough because a lot of, scholarships are, they consider academics, but also, your involvement in your school and your community. And that's one thing I definitely regret not doing more of. So again, I didn't really have much to go off of for most scholarships. I did apply for one. It was like one offered by my school where they kind of pick one person. And yeah, I didn't get it. But yeah, that's kind of all I kind of remember from doing that. And then again, the university, like Apara said, with the University of Winnipeg, the University of Manitoba also has those automatic entrance scholarships depending on your grade. So I think 95 and above is like $3,000, 90 to 95 is 2,000, and then 85 to 90 is 1,000.
Yeah, to bounce off of that, I unfortunately also didn't apply to scholarships. I wish I did, so I'm going to emphasize this to you all to look into scholarships. But the St. Boniface University, you did get one if you were enrolled in a certain amount of courses. I'm not sure if you needed to do well in them or not, but I think the amount was something like, and it might be different now because of differences in cost of living, but it was 500 at that time. And then once you're going through your undergraduate degree, there's other opportunities like research awards, and then you can work during the summer and then get paid for that. So those are really good opportunities, and I would really emphasize that to you during undergrad.
Sorry, I don't have much to add on. I think Kayla and Alexa did a really good job touching on the main topics for scholarships. Again, I also don't have very much experience for scholarship applications. I've never applied for a scholarship, though I do regret that. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to take. Also, it looks great on your resume and it's great support if you need it. I regret not applying, but I have not applied other than the automatic entrance scholarship.
Thank you so much for that advice. I think definitely the most important part of scholarships is to apply. I do just want to ask one more scholarship related question that we received. Do you know if you need specifically volunteer hours for scholarships? One person can answer this if they would like, as we are running a little short on time.
As far as I know, different scholarships have different application processes. So it really depends on the scholarship you apply for. I know that some scholarships will be more so focused towards community service and like volunteer hours. So if you're applying for scholarships related to those areas, you may have to show volunteer hours, but it really depends on what scholarships you're applying for. You can usually find out information about those different scholarships if you search them up on the university website, and they go a little bit over, like a lot of scholarships are named after people. So they're usually qualities, characteristics that the person that scholarship is named after either embodied or admired. So you can find out a lot of information about what the scholarship board is looking for from that, like from the information that's provided about the little description.
Very well said. That's awesome. Thank you for your advice on that topic. Let's move on to our last topic of today, which is further study. Are any of you pursuing, well, I know Kayla is already pursuing further studies, but what further studies do you plan to pursue after undergraduate?
Yeah, so again, for me, I definitely want to pursue a graduate degree or a professional health degree, either medicine or physician assistant studies. And for graduate programs, kind of interested. I'm actually interested in the program that Kayla's in, Master of Community Health Sciences. And I'm also interested in a grad program at Western. It's the Masters of Science in Interdisciplinary Medical Sciences. So got a couple options. I think the thing about the health sciences degree and most degrees, honestly, is there's a lot of kind of opportunity for further studies that, kind of depending on what you want to do, which is really nice. So yeah.
So for me, I have not given too much thought, to be honest, into what I'd like to pursue later on. I have considered pursuing further education after I'm done my bachelor's degree, but I think I'd probably want to take a gap year or so just to see what else is out there, because I've been surrounded by more of the scientific community for the past couple of years, and I feel that there is more out there and more to explore, and just trying to get some field experience first before trying to decide anything. And I've given some thought into doing a master's program. I have a couple friends that are currently pursuing their master's in sciences. Not really sure if I'd want to do more research at the moment, but it's definitely a really rewarding field.
Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about careers. If you're not pursuing further studies or after your further studies, what careers are available with the degrees that you are currently working to get?
Okay, I wrote this down, but this is from the U of M website about health sciences. So again, if you get a Bachelor of Health Sciences, you don't get any professional designation or anything. It's just you have a Bachelor in Health Sciences. But yeah, you can work in a variety of different fields. You can work kind of as a community health educator, a lab technician, volunteer coordinator, data analysis, kind of more like mental health outreach. So there's a variety of different kind of careers and jobs that are open.
I don't really have much to add on to what Kayla said. I think that's very similar to what's available after like getting your undergrad in biology or biochemistry. I think my undergrad more so focuses on the possibility of further studies. But in terms of what is available right after graduation, it would more so be entry-level jobs in different sciences fields. I think I know a couple people who just did their undergrad and now they're working in labs as technicians after getting some certifications, or even without certification if they have enough experience. It just really depends on what's out there and what you're interested in, because with the biology and biochemistry degree, it's completely different fields, even though they are very similar. For biology, a lot of things that are open are more to do with conservation or like more things in nature. But with biochemistry, it's more research based, and it's more so focuses on getting further education from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, great answers from Apara and Alexa. On a psychology perspective, you usually need to do, at least for Manitoba, that honors degree, so you can, because that's a prerequisite for graduate school. And a lot of the time you would go to graduate school because it's kind of that stepping stone. And then if you're getting like a general psychology degree, it's very similar jobs to what Alexa and Apara said.
Thank you. Another question we kind of wanted to consider is, now that you have your undergraduate degrees or after you achieve them, how do you go about pursuing medicine after that?
I mean, I I guess it's really, up to, I guess, I don't know. I haven't really gone through the process, so I'm not super kind of well-versed in that. But I think at least in Manitoba, for medicine, again, undergraduate degree, it can be a three-year degree even. You have to take the MCAT. You have to take the Casper test. Yeah, and I think from what I remember at University of Manitoba for medicine, I don't know if they actually consider your extracurriculars. Don't quote me on that, but I heard that somewhere. But I know, again, if you want to apply somewhere else, they might consider that. But that's basically all I know about that, again, because I haven't really gone through the process. But yeah.
Yeah, to jump off of that, I also believe that U of M does not look into your extracurriculars in their equation. They just consider GPA, MCAT, and then other factors. But for me, to incorporate medicine into my path, I'm very, very interested in research in both patient care, which I was exposed to patient care from different volunteer opportunities. So I really recommend considering different volunteer opportunities that are suited to what you like doing. So for example, for me, it was volunteering at the hospital. And so for me, incorporating both of them, there's a program called the MD PhD to become a clinician scientist, and I'm very, very interested in pursuing that after my master's. And I would need to take the MCAT. So yeah, excited for that, but that's kind of my path to incorporating medicine.
Sorry, pressed the wrong button there. Just to briefly add on to what Kayla and Alexa have said, I haven't applied to medicine, but I have a lot of peers and close friends that have, so I can speak a little bit, I guess, to their experience and what I have heard from them. So for the University of Manitoba, as Alexa had mentioned, they do look at the Casper, the MCAT, and your GPA. As for extracurriculars, Alexa, stop. Sorry. Yikes. Okay, sorry about that. So to add on to what Alexa said, the University of Manitoba looks at Casper, MCAT, and your GPA. They do. I'm not sure about that. I'm just hang on for a moment. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go unplug her.
It's okay. You don't have to say my name.
Just while Apara is unplugging Alexa, I do want to say I think we're going to run until 5:35. So just hang on for 2 more minutes. We're just about wrapped up.
Sorry, I just had to give credit where credit was due there. But yeah, so MCAT, Casper, and GPA, but they do have a different equation. I believe that to get the MMI, I think that's like multiple mini interviews. It's, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that MCAT holds the most weight, then it's your GPA, and then your Casper, and then it changes if you are granted an interview where your interview would take more precedent, I guess, than either your GPA and like it along with the Casper. I believe the Casper is necessary for the majority of universities in Canada if you apply to their medical programs, but to pursue a medical degree, it's kind of different for every university you apply to. Even since Manitoba only has the University of Manitoba that has a medical college, I believe in Ontario they have like 5 or 6, I'm not really sure, maybe even more. But each of them have their own distinct qualities and qualifications they're looking for. For University of Toronto, for example, they give more precedent to students that have an additional degree on top of their undergrad. For example, if they have pursued a master or a PhD, it kind of counts for something, whereas in the University of Manitoba, I believe it kind of does, but like it's more so when calculating your GPA than anything. Or for example, University of McMaster, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware, they only focus on one specific section of the MCAT rather than the whole MCAT as a whole. And as for the application process, as far as I'm aware, they don't necessarily look at your extracurriculars, but honestly, from what I've seen, like since I know quite a few people that are in the medical field and I've also worked with in the medical community for the last 2 or 3 years in research capacity or in a clinical capacity, they do look at your extracurriculars in terms of the way your application is perceived, because you have to write a little bit about yourself. So you would have to talk about different things that you've done in addition to just pursuing your degree. And if you were to get to the multiple interviews phase, you would be able to talk about some of those experiences rather than just talking about, for example, I know a lot of people just focus on grades, but rather than just speaking about I studied for this many hours, it could be something like I have been exposed to this and that's what's made me passionate about medicine. It's just the way you answer your questions. It could be a lot can be added based on your extracurriculars that don't necessarily show up in the application process.
Thank you for that very thorough answer, Apara, and thank you so much, Alexa, as well, for answering that question. I think that is all we had asked. Those are all the questions we were asked by students today, and those are all the questions that we wanted to cover. We did have, I just said we would have a Q&A session at the end, but I just ended up sprinkling in the questions from the chat throughout just because I thought they fit better. Thank you so much for all of the audience members that attended, and thank you very much for all of your insightful questions. This is a wrap on our event. You are free to go. I would like the participants just to hang back for just a quick moment, please.